Sure.
All right, I think we're going. Okay, so welcome to the Initiative Podcast. Here I am with Giulia Preziuso. Is that how it's
Great job. Nice job on that. Yeah.
awesome? At My Defining Moment on Instagram. So basically, we're just going to do a little interview. This is my first actual podcast with someone not in the same room as me. So
Uh-huh.
this will be interesting. But here we are. I'm going to just kick it off, ask a few questions. So tell us what you do, who you are, what's your calling, all that jazz.
Okay. So my name is Giulia, like you mentioned, and I am officially a mental health counselor. So what I do is I work with people that are struggling with different types of either mental, I won't say mental illnesses, although some of them are mentally ill, but just mental blockages that are preventing them from really living the life that they want to live for themselves. And so I do very specific trauma work with people that might have had a difficult upbringing or not necessarily abusive in the sense of getting punched in the face on a daily basis, but even having dismissive or parents that work all the time and didn't really connect with them. And so they have a very unstable sense of self-esteem and self-worth and an identity for themselves, a lot of confusion about what they're supposed to do with their lives, and developing a strategy to really help them excel. And so that's what I do on a daily basis with people. And then I developed the Instagram and platform about 5 years ago. I would say it's been about 5 years now. And I guess I didn't know what Instagram was at the time. I was in New Orleans with my best friend, and she was taking a picture of her food and she was posting it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, oh, it's Instagram. Like, so you just post pictures of food? That's what you do? And she's like, oh, people do all different types of things. And then I started thinking about it and thought, well, that might be a way for me to spread a message and connect with a potential client. And that's what I did. So we can't ignore the power of social media today. It puts us right in touch with our customers, so to speak. And so we really need to be able to strategize, find a voice, and deliver a message.
Totally. So were you already a mental health coach before you got on Instagram, or was that a byproduct of Instagram?
Yeah, no, I wasn't. I've had actually like 5 major career changes throughout my life. And so I started in education and I was teaching in the inner city. And I didn't really like that so much, probably because I was in the inner city and there were more students that I could possibly manage, and I didn't really have the experience. And so after I graduated college, I went into outside sales because there's a lot of money there. And I thought that I needed to just make a lot of money. And so I went into outside sales, and I really, really didn't like that either, because there was a lot of manipulation and coercion, and people were getting hurt by the company that I was representing. So I then decided to work for Mercedes-Benz USA, and I spent 5 years in that corporate capacity in different positions and really learning about businesses and how to build one that works, and really what it means to have brand loyalty and delivering customer service and that kind of stuff that creates loyalty amongst your clients. So but it was, it's a man's world. Automotive business is definitely a man's world. And the department that I wanted to go into was like, the demographic was 50-year-old men, and I don't really meet that criteria, right? So I needed to make a decision about what I wanted to do. And my mentor told me, you never spend more than 5 or 7 years with any particular company unless you're moving up the ladder or you have to go. And so I looked into other corporations and I found Starbucks, and their motto is love what you do. And I was like, yeah, exactly, man. That's the way to be successful is to love what you do.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went to go work with them in a management capacity for about 2 years until I realized that they were about the same corporate nonsense that everybody else was. And I said, all right, something else has to happen. So due to happenstance, I met this doctor who didn't really have a lot of business acumen and was trying to build a practice. So he was sleeping on his floor, like just couldn't keep up. And I came in and developed an HR system, hired people, got everything flowing, got a billing system in place, and just created a really good structure for the business to succeed. And then the patients were coming to me, asking me if I could listen to their stories, and sharing their pain with me. And I was like, what is this about? I have always been in therapy. I've been in therapy for a very, very long time myself. And so the idea of doing therapy didn't occur to me until I was in that capacity. And then I realized, this is maybe the direction I need to go into, because it just felt really natural. And that's what prompted me to go to graduate school 10 years after getting my undergraduate degree.
Okay.
And then I graduated in 2014, and I basically hung a shingle and went into business. I already knew how to go into business.
Yeah.
This was just a different type of business.
Yeah. So I actually have a question on that. I'm kind of a college skeptic, you might say. I'm 18. I'm taking a gap year right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm most likely at this point, I don't think I'm going to go to school, because I also have a business that I'm trying to build. So, but how much, when you compare like your college learning experience to the corporate world learning experience, what do you think carried more into the success that your business is having now?
So I can't have the success without the degrees.
True. Okay.
Right? For the work that I do. And so initially, I went to college because nobody else in my family did.
Okay.
And I'm also the first American born to immigrant parents that worked in a factory all of my life. And so there wasn't a lot of encouragement of education there. My parents went to grammar school, so it wasn't like education was really pushed on me.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew that in America, it meant something if you have an education.
Totally.
And so I went to college reluctantly. I didn't really care about it, but I just did it because I was told that that would be important.
Okay.
And you see, when I was in the corporate world, I tried to take a new position. And part of the criteria was a college degree. And then they actually hired somebody else who didn't have a college degree. And then that taught me that the corporate world is really about nepotism and who you know. And my degree didn't mean shit, right? And so that was my cue that this is really, even though everybody writes their code of conduct and the outline, their mission statement for how they want to run their business, it doesn't always mean that all the players are operating by that mission statement. And that can be very discouraging for somebody who's a really true blue loyal type of person like I am, you know what I'm saying? And so you get disappointed when you realize that not everybody has the work ethic that you do. And you can either pour all that ethic into somebody else's business, or you can pour it into your own. And so I already knew that I was going to be in business for myself, because when I was in college, I actually started a business called The Cookie Chick, and I delivered cookies in pizza boxes hot on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to the colleges nearby. I was only open from like 5 p.m. to 11, but I knew what my market was and I was killing it. So I already knew that it's just a matter of work ethic and strategy.
So go ahead.
Go ahead.
Do you watch Gary Vee at all? Do you know who he is?
I love Gary Vee.
You sound like the exact person that he describes as like a prototypical entrepreneur, or stereotypical.
Yeah, I just stumbled upon Gary Vee about a year ago, you know? So and then I love his whole message. sometimes I wish his language was a little bit different because he'll have like children around and I just feel like we need to protect them. But anyway, yeah, I love his energy and I love what he has to say. He was also given a whole lot more to start with, right, than some of us have been. And so it's a little bit harder to get some traction when you don't have as much backing and support initially. But yeah, so it was just a matter of what. And then, so I was working at Ben's like full time, and I would come home and I would bake 1,000 cookies a week. And then I would go to one farmer's market in this area where I live, and I would clear like $1,000 by 2:00 in cash. Like I would sell out every single time. So
awesome.
I had like my neighbors' kids were coming in, and I had like these little machines that would make the creases like a potato chip bag. So I'd have these children in there like a little factory workers just pressing my packages and putting labels on everything. And then I would go to the farmer's market and sell out. That was a lot of work. It's a lot of manual labor.
Yeah.
So I always say that I will retire as the cookie chick someday. I'm going to open a small cafe somewhere and just talk shit, have coffee, and eat cookies. You know what I'm saying? But right now, this is what I got to do.
But I assume you love what you're doing right now.
Oh, I love what I'm doing right now. And what I'm doing right now is not work. I was made for this.
Right.
So yesterday I probably, I work like 12-hour days every fucking day.
Yeah.
I just grind all day, every day. If I'm not face to face with a client, I'm in Instagram. If I'm not in Instagram, I'm on a podcast. There's always something that needs to be done, but it doesn't ever feel like work because it was exactly what I was created to do.
That's funny you say that because so I'm a filmmaker and I have a business that I'm building up right now where I help people run their Instagrams. But that's like kind of what I'm trying to get my day job to be. And then I also just made a documentary.
Sweet.
I just finished the documentary and I'm like sad because I feel like there's so much less to do now. And like, I'm done. I'm sad that I don't get to work on it anymore. It's like, that's like the level of passion that I feel like you have to like be an entrepreneur.
Oh yeah. You have to have grit. And what I hear a lot of, especially you look like a millennial to me. I don't want to judge, right? But you have that you look young. So I'm thinking you might fall into that millennial category, which a lot of times when you interview the millennial category, their objective is to become rich and famous. But you can't just become rich and famous without the work ethic. If you're not willing to grind around the fucking clock, you're not going to make shit.
No. And
you're not.
Also, like having the work ethic and the balance is a lot of the entrepreneurial language is about hustle culture. But what I'm discovering now is like, there's some people like Gary Vee who can work 15 hours a day, who are just outliers and have so much energy that they can do that. Some people like I thought I could do that. And then I like had burnout and then got like a lot of anxiety about work. And then like, so my whole thing now is like figuring out how to have the work ethic, put in the hours, and hang out with my girlfriend, hang out with my friends, like get workouts in and stuff.
Yeah, well, that's just it. You just hit the nail on the head. The reason why I have the energy and stamina at my age for a 12-hour day is because I start my day at the gym. Like I put in an hour to 90 minutes to 2 hours, 4 days a week at least. I'm throwing dumbbells around. I'm exerting that energy. I'm getting my frustrations out. My mental state is in check because the top 3 ways for anybody to manage their mental health is diet, exercise, and sleep. And so when I'm looking and when I'm working with a client, I'll have them keep a food journal for me for a couple of weeks so I can get an understanding of what they're putting into their system. I want to know how many hours of sleep they're getting, and I want to know how much exercise they're getting, because that's what you need in order for brain optimization. Your brain thrives on those 3 components.
So I work with a lot of fitness professionals on my like social media side of the business, and that one guy who is like kind of my mentor, he's like he's connecting me to a lot of the people that I work with now. He's all about like meditation, eating right, sleeping right, training in a healthy way so your body like is recovering well. And like he basically says like the healthier your body is, the more primed it is to intake information more efficiently. And like, that makes total sense to me.
Yeah. And see, the other thing people don't realize is that our gut, our stomach, our second brain produces about 80% of the neurotransmitters that your brain needs to feel good. So dopamine, serotonin, and GABA is produced in your gut. So if your diet is trash, your brain optimization is going to be trash too. And that's what I need to teach people, is because if you're not in a good emotional state, right? If you don't feel motivated about life, if you're not getting up every day ready to kill it, what are you not doing? Because your body is created to do that. You're designed to do that, unless your emotional state is not being properly managed, in which case I look at the organic approach first: diet, exercise, and sleep. And then if I see that the diet is trash, the sleep is trash, they're not working out, then I'll say, you know what, it might be a good idea for you to see a psychiatrist and get on an antidepressant, just to get your brain to a place where it can start to want to do something more.
Yeah, totally.
People like to, like, you know, they like to think it's them, you know, oh, this is just the way I am, you know, just the way I am. And I'm like, nah, it's not the way you are.
Yeah.
We don't come that way.
I totally hate when people identify with an emotion that they feel a lot. Like, I have friends who like to blame their personalities on a personality trait they have, and they stick with that. And I'm always like, it doesn't have to be that way, but it's just hard to get through to some people like that.
It is hard to get through to them because they're also programmed that way. It didn't start with them.
Oh yeah. Totally.
Right? It didn't start there. It's very much the modeling that they receive. They've been told who to be. And I really encourage people to find out who they are and not who they were told to be. Because if we think about it, our primary caretakers told us how to act, how to dress, what to eat, when to do it. And sometimes we never challenge anything that we were taught. And some of the shit we were taught, it doesn't work. You have to develop your own strategy for yourself. And the only way to do that is through education sometimes. Because if you don't go out there and try to learn, like even when I'm building my businesses, like I was reading marketing books like it was nobody's business. My favorite one was called The Purple Cow. It was like this thin, like really just a small book with a whole bunch of knowledge and insight in there, because you really want to be a purple cow. I'm not the only therapist out there.
Yeah.
Right? Why pick me? Why pick you? You're not the only guy out there doing what you're doing. Why are they going to choose you? Why are you the purple cow?
Yeah, and that's what people have to realize.
That's what they have to realize.
My question is, how, you're clearly so passionate. How did you know like therapy or mental health coaching was the route meant for you? Like, what made you realize that?
It was the way that the way others responded to seeing someone get better, watching people win in their life. You can get high on that. You know, when my clients text me and they're showing me what they're doing and they're out there crushing it and they're killing it, and they're no longer associating themselves with depression. Like, oh, a lot of times you hear people say, well, here's my depression, as if the depression is something that you get and you carry it with you for the rest of your life. Like, no, it's curable, it's treatable. The only thing that doesn't have a cure is trauma. Trauma can't be cured because it's an injury to your brain, but it can be managed so that it doesn't debilitate you from succeeding. All right. So I have to untangle all of these belief systems like, oh, this is just my personality. And I'm like, nah, not really. Not really. We know too much about the way the brain operates and the way the brain is able to produce new neurotransmitters and new neural pathways and new connections that we can't just write ourselves off. And by the way, your brain is not even fully developed until age like 26. And so a lot of times you have people at 17 like, yeah, this is just who I am. And I'm like, nah, dude, like your brain is not even fully developed yet.
Yeah.
Like, stop writing yourself off, because the way to succeed is to remain teachable. You got to remain teachable. Stop thinking you know everything. If you stop learning, it should only be when you're dead.
That I feel like I've been living by that for years now, and I don't think I've ever heard that phrased better than how you just phrased it.
Oh, word. Okay, good.
The only way to say it again.
What the part about learning, like you have to remain teachable.
To remain teachable is the only way to
Remain teachable is the only way to succeed. And when you stop learning, it's when you're 6 feet under. If
wow.
you think you know it all, then you're done. It's a wrap before you even get started because your perspective is so limited,
So
right?
how do you deal, so like one thing about adults is like they're very, because they've had those pathways ingrained in their brain for so long, it's probably way harder to untangle adults than it is kids. How do you deal with that?
Well, I actually don't work with many kids because it's not the kids, it's the parents, right?
Mm.
And so I stopped where I probably have like 2 kids on my calendar, and it's only because those parents are able to own their shit, because otherwise I'm not able to do that. They'll drop off their kid like, fix this. And I'm like, it's not them, it's you. But with adults, what I find is that I teach them that the brain can have a software update just like our phones. And if you're willing to have your software updated, then I'll do that work with you. And because I'm an investment, I'm not working with people that maybe want to get better. It's a lot of money to invest if you aren't really serious. And so I
Totally.
try to teach them, like, look, you've been reigning queen supreme for 35 years, and that mindset, it's not going to take an overnight, it's not going to be overnight that we undo that. But when I start showing them the truth, and you gently just start to put a mirror up to somebody and let them see what it is that they're doing to create the patterns in their life that are holding them back, then they're like, oh man, I get it now. And once they see it, they can't unsee it. And then they just start running towards the goal.
Totally. And I feel like I see that in most adults. Like the guy, the same fitness guy I was telling you about earlier, who's like my mentor. Like we talk about this all the time about parents, because like I had to deal with my parents when I was saying I wanted to take a gap year. Like that was a mental blockage between my parents and I. And it's fine now. They're very supportive, obviously, but that was a very eye-opening thing to see how people, they just grew up a certain way and that's how they think it has to be, and that it's really that simple of a problem, but like that ingrained for 54 years is like it's hard to try to convince people something that
Oh,
they.
yeah. Yeah. It's called cognitive dissonance, right? It goes against their belief systems. And so people that are hitting me up, they're ready to do the work because they know that I'm not the type of person to just take your money. That's not rewarding for me.
Mm,
I need to see results. And so I tell people, like, I'm not going to keep you here. I want to see you get better. You got 4 to 6 weeks to start turning this around, or you might need to find somebody else. And so they have to be super motivated in order to work with me. And that's why I gear more and I lean more towards the coaching side and less towards the therapy side, because you can be in therapy for 20 years and not do anything.
yeah, okay. So I was gonna ask,
Right.
do you do the coaching like online as well?
Well, I work, yeah. Well, I do my sessions online, so I use Zoom as well as my platform. But my coaching, like, I'm very specific in my strategy and my approach. There's a formula. You
Okay.
either follow the formula or you don't,
Yeah.
right? I know how to get people better. It's just, are they willing to look at it? Because some of the stuff that they're doing is really a gutting. It's an emotional gutting to have to look at things for the reality of what they are, and to have to challenge your belief systems that way and really flex in a new way is really painful for some people. So I tell everybody that chooses to work with me, like, listen, I'm probably going to hurt you before I help you.
Interesting.
You got to be ready for that. You got to be ready for the pain that comes with this.
Totally, totally. Well, okay, so where can people find you if they need your services?
So they can find me at on Instagram at my defining moment. My website is currently under construction. Otherwise, I would send them to definingmomentsllc.com. I'll just drop it. It's there. It's just being revamped right now. So definitely, and on Facebook, Defining Moments LLC on Facebook as well. So we are, yeah, we're on Instagram, Facebook, and on the World Wide Web.
Okay, awesome. So thank you for being a part of the show. I
You
appreciate
got it.
it. Awesome insight. Um, Definitely like this. Some of the stuff we talked about, I wish I try to tell people all the time. So I really appreciate you.
Yeah, you know a lot more than people give you credit for, right? But that's okay.
Yeah.
They don't have to believe you. You have to believe you. At the end of the day, it's just going to be you and you.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Great way to close it out.
Thanks for having me, man. It was really nice to meet you. If you need anything else from me, you know how to reach me, okay?
Sure. Thank you. Appreciate it.
You got it. Take care.
Have a good one. Bye.
Bye-bye.